For those of you who don't know, I have a podcast, Hardball Hangout, and you go check it out, link in the description, every single video, by the way. But today, basically, I'm going to be recording a video. It'll also be the podcast, so if I say stuff like, you go check out the YouTube video, linked in the description. Obviously, you're watching the freaking YouTube video, and the podcast is going to be listening, so they gotta click the link to this YouTube video. That being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Hello, and welcome to the Hardball Hangout. Today, we are going to be doing the 2021 All MLB team, but every player has a max of 125 games, so it's the MLB All Injured team. Let's do it. This episode is sponsored by Anchor.fm. Patrons get exclusive access to merchandise, a voice on the show, giveaways, and more. Go to patreon.com/century17 to get started today. Follow me on all my socials, on Twitter at century17yt. Reddit is r/hardball hangout. Discord is linked in the description or the bio of this episode. YouTube is at century17 and Twitch at century17. All of those also linked in the description. We do have a giveaway, but you got to go to the YouTube for that, so it's going to be of a sports card. I haven't really chosen which card I want to give away yet. Just opened up a Panini Mosaics. We have a Panini Chronicles we could give away from, but I'm thinking it might be a Madrigal or a Jazz Chisholm card, which would be nice. That being said, I'm going to be using a statistic system that I made myself. I call it Weighted Value Created Plus. WVC Plus is what I call it. So Weighted Value Created Plus, I'm going to give you an example. It goes through, for a hitter at least, it goes through 6 different statistics, and it moves the decimals around of those statistics to kind of give you an overall number. All right, to give you a perspective, Bryce Harper had 21.4 WVC plus, and Juan Soto had a 21.3 WVC plus, so very, very close. So the 6 stats that it takes into account are games played. Availability is the best ability, we all know that. Then one of the lesser weighted stats of this is going to be a fielder's percentage, just because it's not too accurate of a stat. It just kind of takes your errors, that kind of thing. It doesn't really take into account for how many great plays you make. So what I did is, if you get a gold glove, you add 2 to your WVC plus. After that, it takes batting average. After that, what it does is it takes home runs, then RBIs, and then OPS plus. We use OPS plus so that we can see what are above average or below average. So for example, we use graph. We use a graph to kind of show the progression of these people, of the players rather, on the different stats. So we take Juan Soto versus Bryce Harper. So they're both going to start at the origin 0-0, obviously. And the first thing that we're going to end up doing, if I pull up Baseball Reference right now, games played right now, so they're going to start at 0-0. Then they're going to go, Bryce Harper will go up 0.1, because what he did is he played 141 games. So what happens is, because he played 141, I say the average for a good starter is 140, and you're going to take your difference from that, and you're going to move the decimal over 1. So for example, if a player were to play a full season, 162, they would move up 2.2 on the graph to give themselves so far a 2.2 WVC plus. So Bryce Harper, he goes up 0.1. Juan Soto, he goes up 1.1 because he played 151 games this year. The next stat is fielder's percentage. So Bryce Harper actually had a 996 fielder's percentage, and because it's not a great stat, I know, but basically what happens is he's going to move down 0.4 on the graph, because what he did is he had a 0.996 percentage. You're going to take your difference from a perfect. You're going to move the decimal the opposite way this time, over 1 from your difference. So he had a 0.004 difference, and what they're going to do is we're going to move that decimal over 2. So if you have a perfect fielder's percentage, what you're going to do is you're not actually going to move at all. The next stat we have is batting average. So for example, Bryce Harper, he hit 309, and what we're going to take is we're going to take his difference from 225, which I consider average. So he has a 0.084 difference from 225. He hit 309. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that decimal. For example, he will move up 8.4 on the graph to give him an 8.1 WVC plus so far. That's through 3 stats. Juan Soto, he had what looks to be a 305 batting average. So what we're going to do is we're going to move him up 8, because he hit 0.080 above 225. And so we're going to move him up 8. You can kind of see how it works. The decimals are just getting moved around a little bit. This is a little bit similar to WAR, but it kind of gives more, I don't know. I like it more than WAR. Just the fourth stat we're going to go into is we're going to go home runs. So the average home runs for a starter is 15. For example, Bryce Harper, he hit 35 home runs. He's going to move up to 8.1 to 10.1 because if you see what I'm doing here, he hit 20 home runs above average. We're going to move that decimal in to give him a point, to give him 2.0 up on the Y values. He's at 10.1. Juan Soto, he hit what looks to be 29 home runs. Looks like 29 home runs, so he's going to go from 7.9 to 9.3. 14 above average, if you get what I mean. The fifth stat is RBIs. Bryce Harper hit 84 RBIs, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take his difference from 50. So he would have 34, move that decimal in. So he has a 3.4. He's going to advance that far up to 13.5 WVC plus. I'll show you a screenshot. If you're watching the YouTube, I'll show you a screenshot of the graph and of the table just to show you how it works, and I'll kind of label it, but it's on the screen right now. What looks to be that Juan Soto had 95 RBIs, so he's going to move up 4.5 on the scale. Bryce Harper's going to move up 3.4 on the scale. So as of right now, Juan Soto is actually beating Bryce Harper through 5 stats. This is why we like to use a graph, because we can show the progression. So through 5 stats, if we look on the graph, he is beating him by a solid 0.3, it looks like, by 0.3. But then the most important stat out of any of them, I believe, OPS, like, is the king. So what we don't use OPS, we use OPS plus. We take their difference from 100. So Bryce Harper had 179 OPS plus. He would move up 7.9 because you're going to move that decimal in from the difference and you're going to add it in the Y value. So what happens is Bryce Harper moves from a 13.5 to a 21.4. Juan Soto had a 175 OPS plus. So he would move up 7.5 to a 21.3 WVC plus. Now these are MVP like numbers, okay? We go to a guy like Reese Hoskins, which we'll talk about him later. He had what appears to be a 4.6 WVC plus. Now a big part of that is the games played. Those really do hurt you. So he ended up going down to start. So to recap, games played, fielders percentage, batting average, home runs, RBIs, OPS. Those are the 6 stats that go into my WVC plus. All right, now that we have that out of the way, let us start. So we have 8 position players, obviously, and we're just going to do 1 pitcher. We got to keep it a little bit short. I'll go a little bit into them, and then at the end, I'm going to rank them as importance to their team when they are injured. So yes, all these guys played a max of, let me see, who played the most games out of any of these guys? I think it was 124. So 124 is the highest. So we're almost getting there. There's one controversial one who played 96 games, but really third base, not a very strong position as of for like the injured people. Bregman didn't have a great year, so it's not Bregman. I'll tell you that. All right, we're going to start with the catcher position. Now, catchers, as for guys who didn't play that much, like who didn't play less than 125, there weren't really many good guys. Guys like Salvador Perez, Mike Zunino, they played more than 125 games. Gary Sanchez really was the best option we could go for as for guys who played less than 125 games yet had a decent year. Now, he didn't have a great year. In 117 games, he had 204, 21 home runs, 53 RBIs, and 99 OPS plus. As I said, there weren't many catchers who didn't play a lot of games that were really okay. Hit a negative 3.3 WVC plus, so not very good at all. The games hurt him. His batting average hurts him, as you can see, below average. OPS was below average, and his home runs and RBIs weren't that far above, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. So really, Gary Sanchez was the strongest catcher we could find who was injured for a little while, and he didn't have a terrible year. I mean, he contributed some power, but he really has been falling off. All right, heading to the first base position. This one is a easy one for me. It's Rhys Hoskins. In 104 games, he had 245 with a 129 OPS plus, 27 home runs, 71 RBI. So he played a little over half a season, 27 homers, 71 ribbies. Sheesh. Perfect fielder percentage, and he had a 4.6 WVC plus. The games are what hurt him mightily. Batting average wasn't too strong, only advanced him 2, but 4.6, I mean, it's solid. I believe that's in the average category for like for value. Let me make that clear. The statistics system is to find value of how much you're getting out of a player any given year. So the Yankees did not get very good value at all out of Gary Sanchez. They would have done better if they got someone else to play for them. He was well below average. He had a bad year according to the statistics system. Reese Hoskins had an average year according to the statistics system. He was on a crazy trajectory. If he had played a whole year, he would have been a 45 home run or so and about 112, 120 RBI guy. Would have been pushing a 300 average with his progression, probably 140 OPS plus. This guy would have been in MVP talks. Heading to the second base side of things, we've got Jazz Chisholm. He hit 248, 96 OPS plus, so but 18 home runs, 53 RBIs, 124 games. Now, he had a negative 2.1 WVC plus. But again, second base, as for guys who didn't play a lot of time, there wasn't really that many great ones. Jazz Chisholm, he's electric. He is very good. He really fell off second half of the year. He started off a little bit strong, got injured a little bit, and then when he came back, was not as good as he was. That negative 2.1 WVC plus is really going to come from, obviously, the games, the batting average not that being that high, the OPS plus. The fielding percentage is what killed Jazz Chisholm, though. He had a very bad fielder's percentage, and that is what brought his WVC plus down to the negatives. Let me say one more thing that I did forget to say about the statistic system is that for catchers, fielder's percentage does not come into play just because every catcher's fielder's percentage is below 900. Like, trust me, go look at Baseball Reference, every one of them, below 900. So because that would advance them like negative 10 down the fielder's percentage or down the Y value, we're just going to completely count it out for WVC+. At the shortstop position, we have Corey Seeger, who in 96 games had 306, 145 OPS plus, 16 home runs, 57 RBIs. So well above average batting average, OPS plus as well. He still hit above average home runs and RBIs according to the statistics system. He had a 6.4 WVC plus, which is pushing above average. It's still in the average category, but Corey Seeger, limited time, still was racking up for his Y value for a WVC plus of 6.4. At the third base side of things, we have Santiago Espinal, who had a nice average, had a nice OPS, but did not hit for power for the life of him. Santiago Espinal, he hit 311, so great batting average. 114 OPS plus, 2 home runs, 17 RBIs. He also played 96 games for a negative 1.4 WVC plus. Now, as I said, the best ability is availability, so you're going to see these guys with negative WVC pluses, but really they did not have that bad of a year. For the outfield, this one's going to be really interesting. I picked 3 outfielders. I believe I've got 2 center fielders here and a right fielder, but I just went with 3 outfielders for this one. Starting off with the one right fielder on this list, we have Ronald Acuna Jr. This was a very easy one. This guy racked up a 5.1 WVC plus in literally only 82 games. Half a season, 5.1 WVC plus. Ronald Acuna Jr. hit 283, a 155 OPS plus, 24 home runs, 52 RBIs, 17 bags in just 82 games. And his fielder's percentage was not perfect, which brought his value down a little bit. But overall, very good year for Ronald Acuna Jr. In very limited time, still had a better WVC plus than Rhys Hoskins. And you want to know what the big part of that is? That is the batting average. Batting average is huge. The next outfielder we have is Harrison Bader, who hit 267, 116 OPS plus, 16 home runs, 50 RBIs, and 103 games, 9 bags. He won a Gold Glove, and that's going to come up big for him. So he would have a 1.2 WVC plus if he had not won a Gold Glove, but he had that Gold Glove, and that puts him +2, and he has a 3.2 WVC plus. 3.2, not bad for a guy who only played 103 games. 50 RBIs, Y value doesn't change. 16 home runs, relatively average. Batting average, above average. 116 OPS plus, so a little bit above average. The 9 bags, those were nice, but it was a very solid year for Harrison Bader. The last outfielder on this list racked up 4.5 WAR in just 63 games. That is like a third, not a third of a season. It's like 2/5 of a season or so. That's crazy, dude. It's Byron Buxton. You already guessed it. He hit 306, 171 OPS plus, 19 home runs, 32 RBIs, 9 bags, and a WVC plus of 5.3. If the season had ended 1 month in, Byron Buxton would have been the unanimous MVP, but it did not. He got injured twice, I believe, and that just kind of derailed his season. He got a huge extension nonetheless with the Twins after a lot of trade speculation, but Byron Buxton coming back, he might make this team good again. The last player on the list is Ranger Suarez, the pitcher. Now, this one might be a little controversial as for injured team. He never was injured, but he has spent half of his time as a starter, half his time as a reliever, and that's what's going to put him out and put him special from all the other guys.